Shao Kahn versus action heroes. Can the king of Mortal Kombat survive against Iron Man? How about RoboCop or Dom from Fast and the Furious with his car that's important? Today I'm ranking the most famous Mortal Kombat villain against movie heroes, action heroes, you get the idea. And also a couple villains if the matchup is interesting. Because as we get old, waiting for the next Mortal Kombat 1 update, let's try and have some fun today. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed, let's feed the soul NATO and make Shao Kahn stronger. And if we get 2,000 likes on today's video, I'll make a sequel about Liu Kang versus villains. That's right, how would the champion of Mortal Kombat fare against these monsters? Like the video to find out. By the way, did you know 65% of you watching are not subscribed? It's completely free, it only takes a second. Click that subscribe button to join the underdog army and make sure you never miss any future videos. Alright everyone, without any further ado, let's begin. Real quick everyone, I want to be clear, this is Aftermath Shao Kahn, the same man who beat Liu Kang in a fair fight. That's right, after losing 2 embarrassing fights back to back against Kotal Kahn and then Kitana, something snapped in Shao Kahn's mind. He realized, holy crap, I'm mortal. No, like seriously, I'm a mortal guy who can lose fights. It's time to lock in, and he did, which is why Liu Kang lost. That's the Shao Kahn we're talking about for today's video, just to clarify. Now alrighty, here we go. Shao Kahn versus movie heroes, action heroes, superheroes, all that incredible stuff. I'm gonna use minimal movie footage because that's copyright territory, so it's mostly gonna be me talking. I hope that's okay. Also, I'm gonna try and keep these summaries quick because there's lots of characters I want to cover. Omni-Man from Invincible. This guy's technically a hero before turning heel, so I think he qualifies for this video, and let's be honest, beats Shao Kahn. Like, I don't think it would even be close. He grabs Shao Kahn, flies into space, and it's just game over. If they fall on the ground, Shao Kahn might get some licks in, but once flight's involved, it's game over. What about Homelander though? This is show Homelander, keep in mind, right? Not comic Homelander, who's a bit tougher to be fair. But when it comes to show Homelander, I think Shao Kahn could win, but I'm not entirely sure. The heat vision would be a problem, but Shao Kahn has magic, can rip the soul out of your body as long as you're not super fast like Omni-Man, so I think he could win. In fact, you know what? Fraudlander loses, let's be real. It's the show version, he's going down. Conan the Barbarian. So this man has magical items, however, typically he tries to brute force it, which is why Shao Kahn's gonna win. If somebody pulled Conan aside beforehand and said, yo, here's a bunch of weapons that could beat Shao Kahn, use these in the fight, then maybe Conan stands a chance. But if we're talking default Conan without help, he's not gonna win. Dom from Fast and the Furious with his car. So this is not a joke, alright? Y'all think I'm memeing. I'm honestly not. Anybody who's watched the recent movies knows this man is pretty much unkillable and might be defended by plot armor itself. Dom survived so many situations that should have killed him 10 times over, which means he might win. I'm not sure. With the plot on his side, he could win. Maybe he drives his car into Shao Kahn, which launches him into the Soul NATO and rips his soul apart or something. I could see Dom pulling that off. Deadpool. So here's an interesting one. Many of you might think, oh, eventually Deadpool wins because he can't die. Here's where you're wrong though. Shao Kahn can rip the soul from your body. That's right, and I might have to keep bringing it up because Mortal Kombat characters are protected by the Elder Gods, and that's an actual fact from the lore. The only thing stopping Shao Kahn from ripping Liu Kang's soul out or Sonya's soul out is because they're competing in the Mortal Kombat tournament, and even after the tournament, they're still protected by the Elder Gods. That's not the case for Deadpool, so Shao Kahn would win, but it would be a fun fight to watch, because Deadpool's not gonna go down. He'll keep getting back up, and Shao Kahn's gonna go, what the heck, you know what, give me your soul, right? It's gonna be a fun fight to watch. Hellboy. So here's an interesting one, because I'm not fully aware of what he can do in the comics. In the movies, I think that Shao Kahn wins, straight up, because we see Hellboy almost die multiple times, especially in the second movie, so maybe Shao Kahn could take him, but I'm not sure. Hellboy's got lots of magical items that could give him the edge. Superman from Man of Steel, he's gonna beat Shao Kahn. Let's just be real. He's Omni-Man on steroids. That's right. If that offends any Invincible fans, I'm not sorry. Superman is so absurdly overpowered. Yes, he has vulnerability to magic, which Shao Kahn does use. However, what if I told you Superman can't stay dead forever, and that's a universal fact? Would you believe me? Because it's true. Even Dr. Manhattan, the guy who can disassemble your molecules at will, said that that Superman can't be killed. At least not permanently. So yeah, Superman's winning, he's going in front of Omni-Man. Luke Skywalker. So I'm gonna pretend it's peak Luke Skywalker from the comics who's just super overpowered. This guy beats Shao Kahn. If that shocks you, get ready for this. It's not even close, alright? Skywalker would dance on Shao Kahn's grave. It's not a close fight. For Pete's sake, his lightsaber alone cuts through anything. Like literally anything, and he has the Force, which would throw off Shao Kahn big time. Freddy Krueger. So here's an interesting one. I said earlier I'm gonna sprinkle in some villains if the matchup is interesting enough. Freddy Krueger drags you into a nightmare and then tries killing you there. However, his power in the nightmare is based around your fear. Or in other words, the more frightened you are, the more powerful Freddy becomes, and I don't think he could scare Shao Kahn. I'm gonna be real with you. To everyone watching, picture something Shao Kahn's afraid of. I can't think of anything. Not to mention, I just remembered that Shao Kahn pulled Freddy from the Dream Realm in MK9. That's how he's actually on the roster and a playable character. So Shao Kahn has dream magic. Yeah, it turns out his sorcery is further reaching than we thought. If he can pull Freddy out of the Dream Realm into reality, then it's a wrap. So Shao Kahn wins this fight hands down, not even close. Iron Man from Avengers. So I love Iron Man. I want to glaze him and say Shao Kahn loses, but let's be realistic here. Sector and Cyrax basically are Iron Man without the vulnerabilities. Since they're no longer people, they're cyborgs with skulls made of steel and organs made of oil and diesel, all that crap. By comparison, Iron Man is way more vulnerable. It would be a good fight, and if Iron Man had prep time, maybe he'd win, but for fairness sake, nobody gets prep time, which means Iron Man loses maybe. It would be a good fight no matter what. Thor from the Avengers, though, is straight up winning, and it's not gonna be close. I'd put him in front of Omni-Man. Actually, people downplay how strong Thor is. Terminator, the T-800 to be specific, he's losing. I feel bad saying it, but let's be real. Regular gunfire can hurt this guy, and he's killed by a trash compactor in the first movie. That's Shao Kahn's hammer, only like 1/10 as powerful. So yeah, Arnold's getting packed up. That hammer would make him into scrap metal real quick. Ash Williams from The Evil Dead. That's right, the matchup we never got in Mortal Kombat 11, even though it was planned and originally teased by developers. So here's my question. Can Ash Williams use the Necronomicon? If he's able to tap into that, then Shao Kahn might go down. So let me know in the comments about that. For now, it's going in not sure because I don't know enough about the Evil Dead series, to be honest with you. I loved the game on PS4 for a bit, that was fun. RoboCop, that's right, straight out of Mortal Kombat 11. He's getting beaten. I'm sorry, Shao Kahn's gonna dust him. He's more vulnerable than the T-800, right? Aim for his head and it's just over. So he's like way up here, or actually in the back. I forgot it's like descending order. So it's more like this. Batman, not the one in the picture. I'm gonna go legit comic book Batman. Not absolute Batman, who's more wild but has less money, right? I'm talking prime Batman from the comic books, right? When you think of Batman, you know what I'm talking about. Man, you know, maybe I'm just a Mortal Kombat glazer, but honestly, even with prep time, I don't think Batman has this. I really don't, because what is Shao Kahn weak to that gives Batman an edge? Like, no, seriously, outside of calling in other people for help, I don't know what Batman could do, even with extra time. How's he beating Shao Kahn? It doesn't occur to me. So yeah, unfortunately, I think that Shao Kahn wins. Spider-Man, though, from the comics, now that would be a good fight, because people downplay how absurd Spider-Man is when he gets mad and takes the gloves off, alright? Once he stops holding back, Spider-Man's terrifying. When he stops talking, oh, you're in for it. Once Spidey shuts up, you're a dead meat for the most part. Now, Shao Kahn is so absurdly OP that unfortunately, I do think he'd win eventually. Actually, no, wait, Spider-Sense. Spider-Sense is a big deal here. Maybe Spider-Man could win because he knows every punch is coming. Yeah, for now he's going in good fight. And before anyone in the comments freaks out, why is he in front of Iron Man? If you read the comics, Spider-Man's clowned on Tony Stark multiple times. Straight up dog walking, and I'm not joking, puts Iron Man on a leash and says, "You're my pet now." Neo from The Matrix. So this fight would be interesting. If Neo drags Shao Kahn into the virtual world, then I think he wins. Because unlike Freddy Krueger, Neo's power doesn't scale based on the opponent. He's just godly no matter what. However, don't forget, Shao Kahn pulled Freddy from the dream world, so maybe that same sorcery could pull Neo into the real world, or he could just find out where Neo is in the real world and kill him that way. In that situation, Shao Kahn might win, but I'm not sure, so it's going in not sure. And alright everybody, I think that's it for today's video. There's tons of characters down here, as you can see on screen, but many of them Shao Kahn either beats convincingly or loses convincingly, and that's not super fun to talk about. So yeah, I think for today I'm about done, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. comments, what's a fun matchup of Shao Kahn versus some other hero that you want to talk about? Let me know in the comments. Give me the full breakdown of Shao Kahn versus this character and whether he wins or loses and why. Then, like mentioned earlier, please leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video. Every like does help my videos out a ton, and if we get 2,000 likes, I'll make a sequel about Liu Kang versus villains. That's right, from the movies, from comic books, all walks of fiction, Liu Kang versus the strongest villains I can think of. For anyone watching who might be new, over 65% of my audience is not subscribed. Please take a second, click that subscribe button. It's completely free and just lets you know when my next videos go up so you never miss them. Also, it makes that number down there a bit bigger, right? I'm trying to reach 500,000 before 2026, and that deadline is approaching really quickly. So let's try and make it happen, everyone. Thanks for watching. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.